I mean, I don't really feel remorse for it or anything. It's just I go in, lure them, and I jump out.
They don't really see a problem. What is it? It's just a game, you know? That for some people, this is like their entire life.
And he's like asked me to trade him, put my stuff on. So I do have my stuff on, but I know that this is the only safe spot.
You'd like want to make the kid laugh and pretend like you're their best friend.
So you got a bachelor's in psychology, nice 50K of debt. You ever seen $1 million before? You never will either.
People will say to lures, you guys sit in your basement, you just scam people all day, get a life, learn to contribute to society. But at the end of the day, if you're driving around in like a $50,000 to $100,000 car, you live a really nice life. I really don't see anything wrong with it, right?
Today, I bring you an interview that I didn't think would ever happen with somebody who's been luring, that is, scamming people on RuneScape and selling the profits for real life money as a full-time income now for coming up on a decade. A couple of things came together that led to this. I've timestamped all the questions below. That deserves a like on its own, right? Maybe even a subscription. We're coming up on 100,000. It's free. And by the way, if you want to materialize your love for old school RuneScape with a beautiful, heavy, pressure casted statue, we've got a little spring sale going on. See, we're working on our new lineup this year, but we've got to kind of phase out some of the old ones because it's just impossible to keep up with batches of everything. So this really is the last chance to get some of the existing figures before we get into doing the rest of the God Wars dungeon set, some new skilling pets, things like that. The link is in the description so you can go check them out. Thank you, and let's get on to the video. So, a few months ago, a viewer sent me a message on Twitter saying he managed to record himself anti-scamming a couple lures.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to contact everybody. It was like, hey, this is amazing. I found some actual scammers. Kinda got ignored by everyone except you, so.
And you knew they were trying to scam you the whole time. And then you call them out for it.
Have you noticed how I've slowly manipulated you into giving me more money even though I didn't need it? Because I knew you were scamming me from like the whole beginning.
Yo, are you brain dead?
They threatened him a lot.
Dude, I'm gonna put 50 accounts in GE spamming out of you. You're never gonna play again, dude. You're
Bro, holy shit, I love this.
Called him a lot of names.
You're a geek. Go play more RuneScape and shit your pants while we continue to make 2K a day. Useless, brainless.
But the amazing thing about this interaction is about 50 minutes in, the lures start talking casually about what they're doing.
Dude, like, I mean, it's special to you, right? Like, this is probably like a crazy thing. Like, whoa, I'm in the call with lures. Holy shit, like, these guys lure twisted bows. Whoa. But, like, it's another day, dude. All day, every day. There's also some lures who are, like, strung out and not in the right sense of life because they're luring to feed a drug addiction or whatever it could be.
And as I'm watching this, the guy talking, his Discord profile looks so familiar. And then it clicks. This is Will. He's part of a luring clan called RS, and he used to upload compilations of their scams onto YouTube back in 2018, totaling well over $1 trillion GP.
Oh my gosh, we did it! We got it!
I convinced that big boy.
No way!
Rank 28, purple fat lure.
A troll back then was worth like $130,000. And the reason I'm so familiar with this guy is because he actually sent me a message back then, basically at the start of me doing these RuneScape abuse videos, offering to do an interview. And I never got around to it then, but I messaged him all these years later, and to my surprise, he was still up for it. But yeah, so the only condition going into this really is that you didn't want to talk about things that would expose current lure methods, right?
Right. Like, I'll talk about anything that's patched. And like, I'm sure you saw in the docs, I put like a lot of like old videos and pictures. But like the one thing is, if I like actually leak the current method, I'll probably get fucking swatted because like my docs is public, right? But like I will say a lot of insight.
And so it's like 2 in the morning when Will is up, and for the next 3 hours we sit in a call together, and he goes into great detail about everything from how much money they steal, how they social engineer people, what Jagex is, or better put, isn't doing to stop them, how his community reacts when Sir Pugger or Kemp Q drops an exposing video. The whole thing's got to be the most morally outrageous interview I've ever done, but at the same time I was absolutely fascinated to get a glimpse into this world. So how did you originally start down this path?
I watched like a lot of luring videos back in like 2012. I was watching MX799. He put out like a money pouch lure method guide. It was so shit. It was
Alright
horrible.
guys, how you guys doing? So welcome back to another lure guide. So you're going to want to say, withdraw the money from your money pouch right now. Because most people don't know when you withdraw money in the wilderness, you can't actually put it back into your money pouch.
But then I went and I tried it and I made like 20 mil in a day or something. I was like, damn, I must be onto something here. Kind of researched a little bit more and I found myself like a few days later. I was in like an amateur like public luring TeamSpeak. I met this dude named Caleb and he kind of showed me like all the lures. And so we just kind of lured in the TeamSpeak for like a week. My cut was like 300 mil in the first week that I lured. This was like 2014. He was like, here's this website, R2 Pleasant, go sell it. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to trust you on this. Because of course I had never sold gold before. I'm some kid. I don't know what the fuck's going on. So I go sell the gold and then I look at my PayPal. I'm like, holy fucking shit, there's $100 here. I went straight to eBay. I bought an Xbox and I was addicted like right then and there. That's how I got started.
So that was 2014, and I see in the Google Doc you actually wrote out the whole timeline kind of chronologically since that point, so 8 years. Tell me about it.
Like, okay, so after that, we found out about a lure called RCC. It was a bug abuse lure. And so we did that through 2014 until it got patched in like, I think it was like February 2015. I didn't make a lot in that time. Like I was still like just some noob, nobody lure. I probably made like 2K. And then this new lure came out, which was called Statue Spam. And I saw like a couple people doing the same lure in GE. And it turned out to be a lure. His name was Dylan from a team called Team Hazard. He like quickly like became like one of my best friends. And I probably made, I don't know, it wasn't a lot. This was like 2015. I was still shit at luring back then. And then so Statue got patched. This was like early 2016. This is like when I actually like started luring.
The years following this that we're talking like a trill and gold lured.
Exactly. This is the start of when it exploded.
I'm gonna narrate this one so you get the full picture. For some reason, the Australian worlds back then were vulnerable to DDoS attacks, and so they would go out, get someone to drop their party hat, and then the world would go offline, and Will's not sure if someone on his team was DDoSing or not, but it would go offline for 60 seconds, they would log back in, and they would pick up the party hat.
It was literally that simple. So we went from being like pretty shit lures to basically like gods overnight. But like luring like with a whole group of people, I kind of like understood now like how to lure properly at this point. This is like 2016. So 2017 came around. Jagex did an update where you couldn't drop party hats on the floor anymore. We were like, yo, let's try a new script called PvP lure. And within 2 hours, we had lured about 25 bill. That was like unheard of. Everyone else was getting like 1 bill lures. We were like, what the fuck did we just find? Don't show this to anybody. And that month we lured 22 fats and like a shit ton of other stuff. I think it was roughly, I want to say 300 bill in a month. And that was at the time probably 40 grand. So that was January 2018. We made like 40K. Kind of continued doing it for like basically the whole entire year. And we pretty much like perfected it. The script started to get better. We continued getting like bigger and bigger and bigger lures. And so by the end of 2018, we had already lured 1 trillion gold. And that was like never done before. That's like fucking unheard of.
Show me for video. I just want to take, keep it up in shade for a sec too. I want to take a Snapchat real quick.
Made sure to be a true gentleman with your party hat. I pulled out the chair. Show, Nate, show. White party hat, motherfucker. And then 2019 came around. And we were like, yo, like, let's go try the same shit on 07. And trying it on 07, it was really bumpy at first, actually. People on 07 talk different than people on RS3. So it took us like a couple months to adapt. And then like winter of like 2019 rolled around and I was just like, fuck it, like we're going ham. Me and my friend Nick, just like between the two of us, we lured about 70 grand in 3 months. I personally myself talked like it was like right around like 106 twisted bows in like one season. And then 2020 came around and we started.
Okay, before we do that, I've got a couple of questions about like the 2019 age. So for like why'd you originally switch to old school RuneScape?
So it was because we were like burned out of RS3. So like the money was still insanely good, but we had just been doing it for like a year and we wanted to just like change the pace, I guess, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. So 2019 you switched to old school RuneScape and now 2020 you're kind of still chugging along.
Yep. So 2020 came along and we started to I can leak all this actually because this is patched now.
Not exactly. Will had gone into detail about how the scam they were running on old school worked. And look, people always ask me, how do I get these interviews? Why would anybody talk to me? It's because I don't do direct hit pieces. I didn't get in a call with Will and say, I think what you're doing is bad. I let people talk openly, and it's right in my interview outline that they'll be able to review and sanitize the video before it ever goes live. In this case, after showing the rough cut to his friends, they freak out. Which, by the way, they also leaked it. It got 160 views, and I was getting PMs from blurs Will doesn't even know, upset about more than just this one cut. Anyways, like he said right at the start, he's worried about getting swatted, and so it's a tough position. His friends want this section gone. I've got a duty of care to Will, as I do to anyone I record with, but also I have a duty to the audience and to the truth. I've got to make the cut, but I will tell you, Pugger, KempQ both have exposed this already. Their videos literally have millions of views. It's a scam you've likely seen before. It's now patched, but variations of it still exist.
And they'd get shot down for their T-bow. And so I actually got a lot with that. January, February 2020, I was probably getting an average of 3 T-bows a day with that. So right around like $1,500 a day, every day. If you want to like be the best lurer, you have to like innovate and find like creative shit that nobody's done before. So I did that kind of on and off until like or some shit of 2020, and I was like abusing it. I was like still up to this point. I was still making like 5 to 10K a month even after doing it for 6 months straight. And right around the time it got patched, I think it was Sir Pugger made a video of him anti-scamming.
11.1 mil GP just for pretending to be stupid.
And when I saw that, I was like, holy fuck, like this got even better.
And so Will, using his language, created a slick move to lure anybody who came after that video trying to anti-scam. That's the thing about these lures, they have tricks on tricks on tricks.
Fucking blessed, let's go. I'll tell you this, I can't say anything, but I can tell you that for luring, we would tell people, why don't you just do what Sir Pugger did? That was definitely a sentence we would say. So if that answers your question, then yeah. I did that for a bit and then moved back to RS3, probably like March 2021. I was going through like a lot of bullshit, IRL, a lot of bullshit. I basically went into, I guess, like my grind mode, and that's like when I made the most money. So like to put this in perspective, I was luring almost 16 hours a day, every single day, and I made the money for the Tesla. I started completely from scratch, right? Because I didn't want to bump into any of my like investments I already had. I made the money for the Tesla in roughly a month and a half. Oh shit, my fucking car is driving itself. What the fuck? How does that happen? Wait, why don't we just use the big toe? Here, I should slow down a little bit first. Let's use the big toe. Ready? After that, I took like a 1-week break when I bought the car, and then I went straight back to grind mode. I took it a little bit more lax, basically 12 hours a day. And I was doing this whole time, this was PvP lure on RS3. And by like October, September, that's when I was like completely like burned out. Like I couldn't handle it anymore. I've been doing this lure for like 4 years. I'm over it. Like that's pretty much like when it happened. Right before I quit though, I knew I wanted to get like the biggest lure. So I started targeting like 100 bill plus victims. And then so I got a 115 bill PvP, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't a fluke. So I went and got a second one at the Clan Wars Gamers Grotto as well. And then I quit. I have the video of this. It was about 25 minutes from the point of me finding the guy to his 100 bill being in my inventory, just over 20 minutes. But since it was such a bulk amount, I had to sell it for 0.045. So I got roughly like just under 5K for that. So not a bad paycheck.
I find this part so interesting because you can see how a young kid can kind of look up to someone like MX799.
Time to make kids cry, guys.
Who is glorifying this type of behavior.
Oh, okay. There you go. Just accept. I gotta get chicken. Just accept.
Oh, what? Oh my god! Oh my god! Dude!
And then get involved with a peer group and have people like Caleb kind of encourage it even more, show them the ropes. This normalizes it, and all of a sudden 8 years have passed, and not only has he grown up, but so have the methods. They're more complex, more sophisticated.
White party at motherfucker.
So this next question was the biggest one on my community post. People want to know how anyone still falls for lures in 2022. I think the thought is, it seems like everybody is well aware of luring now, so how could it happen?
Right. So
let me ask you this directly first, sorry. When you're luring people, do most of them, like, they're aware, they have some level of awareness that a lure is happening?
That's like indisposable. Like they know 100% that they're getting scammed. The way that people fall for lures, it depends on the kid. Best method that I was the best at using was peer pressure. You can bend your words and make them feel stupid for not doing it. For instance, you could say, you're a RuneScape player, right? Like, dude, you've been playing this game forever. This guy's a level 3 fucking Venezuelan, dude. And like, I mean, dude, it would be a disservice to the community, honestly. Like, you have a RuneScape. Like, if you don't, you're doing the Max community a fucking disservice. Something along the lines of that, you can basically bend somebody into thinking that they have to do it. Like, you give them a level of persuasion. And then some people you need to convince like purely with logic and nothing else. So you'd say like, this area is safe, you're safe here, do this here, do this, don't do this, this, and this. It's like basically training a dog. And then there's other people who need to be persuaded by like outside means. For example, there was like a lure on RS3 who was like disgustingly good at luring party hats. He would always use a girl account and he would talk to the people as if he was a girl. And he'd say, hee XD, it'd be so cute if you took that scammer's money. As you can imagine, like most of the people who play RS, they don't get a lot of action, if you know what I mean. So that was like a way to persuade people to do it. You're playing time, right? It's a numbers game. You just want to rip through as many kids as you can, as fast as you can. Really, like the script we use on RS3, it's been like well practiced. There's like no flaws with it. It's basically perfect at this point because we've just been doing the same lure for 6 years. So I've had every single possible situation with a victim happen to me, and I know the perfect response to what to do to make them do it because I've just done it a million fucking times.
One thing that I saw you mention in the document is that the type of people who actually fall for lures is quite surprising. You said max players, even the leader of a PVM clan at one point. It's not noobs.
Right. So a lot of people be like, oh, these guys are like the most elite players of RS. They'll not be lured. But I find it's actually the opposite because the more experienced they are with the game, the more mechanically inclined they can be persuaded with logic. So like if you tell a noob to cross the wilderness ditch and you say the first 2 tiles are safe, which is true, a noob will just be like, haha, I don't want to bring my fat to the wildy. But if you tell it to like a completion escape player, they'll cross. It's, can I attack the part of their brain that lets them play into what I want them to play into? Like, I remember actually, this is like a true story. The first time I ever lured somebody with 200 mil all skill, this is on RuneScape 3, I had to think big, right? I had to use my brain. And so I changed my character to a girl. I ran up to them, had a little brief like 10-minute conversation, just talking. And then I ran up on the level 3, the lure account, the scam account. Dead serious with you. I'm not fucking with you. You can ask other lures. They'll tell you this is true. I told the dude, if you anti-scam that scammer's money, I will get wet. And I said that on a girl account and he got lured. So that's thinking outside the box for you. I actually think I might have a screenshot of it somewhere. I'm gonna go look. Okay, so this was like how I was talking to him. So you can see I'm just like, let me know how much you make. And I did this little O face. And that's how you fucking do it. I'll show you some of this shit. Like, you wouldn't even fucking believe this. This was actually last week when I just hopped on for a minute. So this person, do you remember how I said some people you lure and it's like training a dog? You just tell them exactly what they're going to do and they do it. So here's a screenshot. You promised to telegrab, yes? The guy says yes. And I said, very talented in brain you are, extremely large brain compartment. In about 2 minutes, you'll be at the wildy line with your whole entire bank, okay? They say, okay, they die, and they say, gonna now. I directly told them they're gonna bring their whole bank to the wildy, and they did it. Like some people, you just directly tell them you're gonna do this. Like that's kind of the level of like stupidity that some people are at. Like you can literally convince people to do anything. I don't know if you saw in the docs, but there's a video of me, like I was invoiced with a guy. He had max cash, 2147 mil. I told him just put 2147 mil in the trade, push accept. That was all I said, and he traded me max cash in 10 seconds. Mind control, my friend. You use the mind control.
But you must have like talked to that guy before. You didn't just run up to him, right?
I was in Discord with him, and like we were just kind of chatting, and then like just out of the blue, I was like, "Oh, you have max cash, by the way, right?" Oh yeah, so just trade me it, and like that was literally it.
Yeah, no, I can totally see how that happens because, well, number one, you're extremely charismatic, and I don't know if that's a trait you've developed or just you were naturally.
It's developed.
It's developed, yeah. Because
developed, yeah.
People on the comments might be like, "What the fuck?" Like, I'm hearing this guy and he sounds like a friend, but at the same time, like, you'll steal my shit, or
Right.
he has stolen my shit. But yeah, I've been in calls with people where we've done trust trades like that for, you know, shits and giggles. But obviously I'm not out here exploiting their trust
Yep.
for profit.
The charismatic trait. Yeah, no, it's funny you say that, but it is developed through luring. Like, I was not like this once upon a time. But after luring so many people, like, it really kind of rubbed off on me. Like, you'd, like, want to make the kid laugh and pretend like you're their best friend. And, like, I don't know, you just, like, connect with them and then they trust you. I guess that's how it works.
And do you ever feel a connection to them or even bad about it?
I mean, some of the people like can like kind of relate to or connect with them, but at the end of the day, like the second I lure them, they get blocked. Like if I show you, that's 217 lure victims right there. So it's just a cash bag. Yeah, I mean, I don't really feel remorse for it or anything. It's just I go in, lure them, and I jump out. I don't really think we're doing anything bad, you know? It's just a game, right? And like people will say to lures like, oh, you guys like sit in your fucking basement, you just scam people all day, get a life, learn to contribute to society. But at the end of the day, if you're driving around in like a $50,000 to $100,000 car, you live a really nice life, and you're contributing back to society by selling the gold to the fucking community. I really don't see anything wrong with it, right? And of course my opinion is probably biased because I'm a lurer, but I mean, that's genuinely how I look at it. Because outside of luring, like this is something that people don't really understand, is lures are still normal people, right? Like you can see the person in my Discord picture, that's actually me, right? Like that's a legitimate picture of me. We're real people. We do still hold real values. It's just we play RS differently. That's the only difference.
It's an interesting line that's drawn in the community with luring. When exactly does it become wrong? For example, Swede Badass uploaded this video recently where he's essentially luring people. He finds somebody that's greedy, somebody that wants to take advantage of a rich noob, gets them to take that noob into the wilderness, i.e. a bait account, and then he'll kill them on his, main account that's stacked out with high level gear. And this seems to be a completely fine thing to do. Nobody's upset about it. And I think the difference here is that what Will is doing is so personal. Swede isn't abusing anybody's trust in this situation where Will is really taking advantage of that in a lot of cases.
Because I fuck with these scammers like literally all the time. Like after they got me.
So what do you think about these people after fucking seeing all this shit?
To be honest, I think they're pieces of shit. Like go get a fucking real job, dude. Like once RuneScape closed down, what are you gonna do?
And you're telling me that you wouldn't PK them for the T-bow. You'd have to be stupid. You're not hurting them. Like they're not gonna fucking themselves over a T-bow. Doesn't happen.
Survivorship bias, the ones that do. I don't think their stories are gonna be heard, since they died.
But let me show you this one picture. People they scammed.
And so this guy sends me a screenshot that a lure had sent him, bragging that one of his victims actually committed this not safe for life act to himself and sent a picture of it after being scammed. And all of a sudden this gets so real. This isn't just a video game, there's real life consequences to what they're doing.
It's very hard to quit it because like you make so much fucking money, and every time you go do it, like you feel good inside. You're like, I just fucked that dude for all their fucking money. I just made $2,000 fucking dollars. Let's go. And then you go post a picture on your Snapchat. You flex to all your friends who work 9 to 5s. They made $50 today. You made $2K. Like it's a fucking drug. It really is.
Alright, so it seems that over the years, the lures have gotten much more sophisticated as the player base has aged, and so I'm curious about the actual luring community. How has that changed kind of internally?
As like luring got harder to adapt to, and the gold rate went down, a lot of the lures, and I mean probably like 90% of the lures, just slowly started to quit. Of course, there's always going to be just people who just lure bandos for fun. And when it comes to like actually professionally luring for legit like thousands of bucks, there's no way in anymore. There's only a way out. Like you're either there right now or you're never going to be there.
What's it like to be a member of kind of this underground community?
Well, I guess it depends who you are. To be honest, like it just feels normal. All the people who are still left have been doing it for so long. Everything is very organized. Like we have, like it's called a leech list is what it's called. It's a list of every single person we've tried to lure basically since 2018. And so we don't try to get the same person twice. There is a lot of drama though, not on RS3 because RS3 is like so lax, like everybody knows each other type thing. But on 07, everybody kind of hates each other. People are split up kind of into like little cliques, I guess you'd call it, like little groups of their friends. And it's pretty much a spam fest. Like you go to the GE and like your account's gonna get spam botted and your spam bots are gonna hit like enemy lures. Like 07 is just kind of a shit show.
Just to give this some context, what you're talking about is like you guys have scout bots that go through popular areas and will like send you a Discord ping if there's someone in some decent gear, right?
Exactly.
And then
I can show you.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then also at the same time they've got a little bit of code in them that has like the names of known luring teams that are like not your friends. And if it spots them, then it will go and like automatically say, hey, these people are scamming, like try to sabotage the lure.
Exactly. It's like a turf war on 07, a constant turf war. Like there's not a lot of lures left, but all the lures that are left are really good and they have a lot of money at their disposal. Because like spam bots and stuff aren't cheap because you need to run a shitload. You need like 50 at a time, 24/7. I think everybody kind of goes overboard with it. I don't like it personally. Like spam botting has its use. If somebody needs to get taught a lesson, I guess you'd say, then spam them for a bit, like a week or two. But like in like 2020 there was no spamming. All the good lures were in one Discord, and then like people got very like egotistical, very power hungry, and just kind of wanted luring to themselves. If every luring team turned their spammers off, everybody would make a lot more money. But the thing is they won't. It's like an ego thing, I guess.
Yeah, they're holding long-term grudges, it sounds like.
Exactly.
So what do you do to get around that?
I have to look at when the other people are luring on 07 too. Like I have to see when our spammer hits them most, and then I'd want to lure at the opposite time zone when the other luring teams are sleeping. Because basically you have to restart the bots once a day because a lot will get banned overnight and they have to refill. It really is kind of like a gang turf war. You just have to be creative. So like something that like I would do is I'd run up and I'd trade somebody like something, I won't say what, and then I would run away. And they would always PM me and just say, dude, what'd you give me that for? And so they would never actually see my account get target spammed, but I would still be able to add them and talk to them. That's like it's a way to go about it. And then you can go to places where there isn't target spams too. So like you can go to like Hydra, you can go to Zalra. TOB usually doesn't have target spams either. And so you can kind of like be creative with where you're luring.
So my next question is, does Jagex ever ban you guys?
I haven't actually had a luring ban in fucking years. The only thing that I get banned for is RWT. And even RWT, like a very low degree of it. I've been using the same rotation of accounts for probably 3 years now. I actually still have 2 accounts from 2017 that I lure on. One of them is top 25 on high scores in a skill, and like it still hasn't gotten banned. It's like the biggest win to me when I see people say, I'm gonna fucking report you, I recorded this whole thing, I'm sending it to tip off, whatever it might be, and I will literally write their name down and message them a week later and say, yo dude, I'm still not banned, because they just don't fucking ban us.
This part is like completely true, by the way, no exaggeration. I talked to a couple folks in the bot detector Discord that actively try to get lures punished. And when Modweeth was still at Jagex, he left like 2 years ago, you know, they would send him list of names and every once in a while he would go through and actually issue some bans, but ever since he left, apparently nobody is doing it. I think people are going to be really disappointed to learn that. Even your 2018 luring compilation, I found an old Reddit thread where people were actually complaining that all of your usernames are public in it and all of the accounts are still active. And it was on like a Q&A and the JMods replied to every single comment except that one.
Yep, but I think they don't ban us or patch it because victims, when they get lured, buy bonds, and that makes Jagex money. Like at the end of the day, I genuinely believe that.
I don't think that's the case. I think it's more so that Jagex is understaffed. Generally in the games industry, the line of thought is if your players are getting scammed and hacked, it's going to result in them not continuing their membership. And so these are problems that are typically addressed, like good game companies will return your items to you and then ban the perpetrators. But obviously Jagex has absolutely abysmal support, so it doesn't happen in our game. And so you have been banned a couple of times though, right? Mainly from RWT and that E4 account you sent me. So when you lose an account like that, like you've purchased it for, it's got to be like a grand or something, right?
Yeah, that account was, I got it with the name for 1200 USD.
But it sounds like you could scam that in a day.
Right. So when I would get banned, I would just go buy another account. Like on 07, I would buy actual like legit accounts from people selling them with like the recovery questions, a photo of their ID and everything to make sure, you know, I'm not getting schemerinoed, and I'd pay top dollar. And then on RS3, I would generally just buy recovered like hacked accounts for pretty cheap. So I would get, because there's just so many fucking accounts on RS3 these days, I would get like hacked max capes for like $100. Lure on it for a few months, get it banned, and then just go buy another. As simple as that.
So you said right at the start of this that if you leak current methods, you run the risk of being swatted. I'm curious about this darker side, if that's not even an appropriate way to label it. It's like the darker side of the luring community. I've certainly heard some awful stories of this type of stuff. Why does it happen?
So when luring clans have beef, swatting used to be like the go-to. I've had people threaten to swat me a million times. I think I've actually had SWAT called to me, but maybe the person who did the call was a little sketchy and they didn't dispatch. Lucky for me. And I've definitely seen people get swatted probably 10 plus times. I actually was in a Skype call with some lures once. This was before Discord. And somebody was just chilling with their webcam on. Like we were all just talking and we saw the SWAT team roll up to his house, like on webcam. And the guy like who got swatted, it was my friend that I lure with. He's just like, hold on, I'm getting swatted again. Like it was literally just casual. There's been a lot of like threats lures would make to each other, dox the fucking shit out of each other, sim swapping, of course, recovering of each other's accounts. It's no good. See, like luring has its good sides. Like you're gonna hang out with people with a lot of money. They're gonna tell you how to make money off stocks, off BTC, crypto. Everyone's talking about their next money play. Like it's very money motivated. But then at the same time, like everybody who's good at luring also knows how to dox. Everybody knows pretty much how to do everything in case things get dirty. Luckily, I never had to swat anybody. It was just never something that I wanted to do to somebody because I knew like how incriminating it was. Like if you went to jail for swatting, you get in big fucking trouble, right? Like that's no fucking joke.
What was like your community's reaction when the exposing videos started to come out?
Like average lures, when they see that shit happen, like they get so tilted out. The smart, like top 1% of the community, we can kind of leverage like the other lures will be like, oh dude, like Kemp made a video, like gold's dropping, I'm not gonna lure this month, I'm getting off. And then you can hop on your other Discord and you can keep luring and everybody thinks you're not there when you really are. Because the thing is if somebody watches like a video exposing lures, you know, they don't remember everything, right? If they watch a YouTube video once and then 2 months later the lure is tried on them, they're not going to remember everything. So they're actually still lureable, but they're just a little bit extra cautious to wiggle your words. That's all it is. You got to do wordplay.
I remember hearing from an unreliable source that the video with Sir Pugger was actually a setup.
I will tell you this. There's been a couple smart, slick moves made by lures to have shit like that happen. We actually did one with Oak Dice a long time ago too. He uploaded a video not knowing exactly what it was. And then we would link people to the Oak Dice video. We'd say, yo dude, go watch this. Do this on Oak Dice's channel. He'll show you how to anti-scam. And the second somebody like hears something reputable, they're like, oh, okay, cool, I'll go try that.
And so when did you realize you could make a living off of this?
Well, I think it just happened naturally. I mean, of course, the money started coming in like 2017, 2018. But of course, at this time, I was still a teenager. So I was like very irresponsible with it. I would waste it on shit. Like I remember at one point, I had almost 20 fucking pairs of Yeezys just because I had nothing else to spend the money on. Wearing like these fucking crazy like designer clothes. I mean, I still do wear the designer clothes still, of course. But I've looked through my crypto transactions. If I would have not sold at some of the times that I did, I have over $1 million of crypto received, like in the price of it now, like well over $1 million. I guess I didn't play my cards perfect, but I played them okay. But I mean, for the most part, it just kind of happened naturally. It was just like, I'm making an income off this, so I'm going to use it to pay my life. Kind of like, okay, like I'm buying my own food from luring, I'm paying rent from luring, paying college from luring, and I still have a money surplus, so I guess like I don't need a job. I'm grateful for it. Like I can wake up, I can do whatever the fuck I want. If I want to take a fucking 1 month vacation, I just get up from my desk. I don't have to tell anybody. There's so much like more value to it that I never saw. I had such an advantage over other people. It was literally silly because coming from people in our age bracket, I'm assuming you're probably around the same age as me. I'm 23. I mean, most of the kids our age, they get out of high school, they'll go off to college and they don't know what the fuck they're gonna study. They pull out 50 grand of loans, they party their way through it, they come out dumber than they went in with no notable skill to do absolutely anything. When they get out, 50 grand of debt, and they're saying, can I start you with any drinks with that? So like, when you get into the position where like you actually made it, right? Like you made it in life. Like you're a 23-year-old fucking baller. Nobody can fucking touch you. The fuck you goes back to the people. Cause like, I remember when I was like luring, before I had like a Tesla and shit, people like IRL, they'd be like, oh yeah, get a job. And then the second I bought a Tesla, they were just like, yo, what do I do for money? Like it just completely flips the switch.
Really left is kind of the look towards the future. Is this like sustainable, or like are you gonna try to like maybe get into something more legitimate?
Well, let's see. I think I acquired enough skills off of luring to kind of transition to anything that I really want to do. I could trade crypto full time. I could trade stocks. I could, of course, with luring paid for a college degree in computer science, so I could go get a job in that if I wanted to. Not that I probably would, because fucking 9 to 5 right now. Luring itself is sustainable. I'll probably lure like kind of like part-time-ish really through like 2021 or 2022. I mean, I don't know what the next thing is. I mean, I'm 23, so I'm sure most 23-year-olds don't necessarily know what they want to do, and I'm kind of there as well.
You know, I really debated if I was going to release this video or not. Obviously, by interviewing Will, he's not going to tell us how to avoid his tricks.
Oh my gosh, we did it! We got it!
I convinced that big boy.
No way.
Rank 28, purple fat lure. Woo!
And so it's like, what value does this video provide other than fulfilling Will's desire to be in the spotlight?
Let's use the big toe. Ready?
Like, there's a risk I'm allowing an over-glorification of luring here, which could exacerbate victimization.
And boom, done like dinner. You're gonna have the kid crying all the way to the bank, and you're gonna be laughing all the way to the fucking bank, guys.
I honestly don't know if I made the right choice here. Like, I think it would have been redundant to talk about exposing lures like Kemp and Pugger have already done.
And if a RuneScape player thinks they won't fall for one of the scams, that might be true. But the scammers probably have 1, 2, or maybe even 3 more scams up their sleeve that they can pull on them at the exact same time.
I don't think there's anything new I could have added to that conversation, which made me feel better, but I do think that there is value in hearing the perspective of a lure, even under the guise of posturing.
Right before I quit though, I knew I wanted to get like the biggest lure.
Unmasking the boogeyman behind the screen, so to speak. What is it that makes Will tick?
I just fuck that dude for all their fucking money. And then you go post a picture on your Snapchat, you flex to all your friends who work 9 to 5s, they made $50 today, you made 2K. Like it's a fucking drug.
And I think we got a perspective into that. So anyways, as you've seen, be careful out there.
To be honest, I think they're pieces of shit. Like, go get a fucking real job, dude.
I mean, it's horrible. And you know, something like a scam, like it really damaged them and hurt them.